at a collegial canal in class 107. A teacher's planning a project that will test his students to the max. It was a normal day, like any other day at a collegial canal in class 107, when a professional, fun-loving teacher decides to give his students a project to make a bridge using only spaghetti and glue. Now this was to try and enhance the children's architectural skills to make the spaghetti stronger so it can sustain more weight. Many people thought up of interesting designs to help the evenly distribution of weight, so kids got right into it. We started making little packets, all glued into one of spaghetti, gluing them into different forms into a 50-centimeter long bridge. In less than a week, we had our first bridge, but it wasn't really 50 centimeters long. In fact, it was just under. But it needed to be exactly 50 centimeters long according to the criteria to fit between the two benches. So this bridge was momentarily taken out of the competition, but it will be added on a little bit later with a longer extension. Now it is Luke's bridge, which he made all by himself, which I'm very impressed at. So I started off tying a cup and filling up with weights to the middle, but that wasn't enough. So we had the idea of a plastic tin filled with marbles and water dangling precariously between the two spokes of the bridge. As you can see, that didn't really go well. So we needed a new idea, a new plan of how to get even more weights onto the bridge.
We're going to need a lot heavier things.
So we put on a bigger bucket. At this point, the floor was pretty messy, but thankfully we cleaned it up a little bit later. So we attached the bucket onto the middle of Luke's bridge. And then we started filling it up with water, weights, marbles, and really anything heavy that we could find in the classroom. Of course, keeping track of all the weights put in. And then it broke at 1,700 grams. See, if you look at the left spoke, it carved in under pressure. Next up here is Isaac's, Jenny's, and Maisie's bridge, which had a very interesting design. It was very big. Monsieur Day was very pleased at his students' creations, but no one really knows how this bridge will stand. So we did the same thing. We tied the bucket into the middle of this bridge, and then we started filling up with water and things. But first, the middle suspension broke, causing it to become a little bit uneven. That was the very first break we had there. But we carried on until finally it did break on the left spoke. If you look here, this is the very first time it broke from the middle, and then it broke the second time from the spoke. Now, I'm sure you recognize this bridge. This bridge was the one that maxed out. We put everything in. We put marbles, we put weights, but it was amazing, and it sustained just perfectly. This bridge was made by Minna, Leah, and Hugo. But don't worry, it will come back later in the competition to be revisited. Thankfully, we have a wonderful teacher that helped us clean the ground. And then, it was the moment everyone was waiting for, test day 2, with Terry's and Max's glue-covered bridge. So we did the same thing. We tied the bucket straight onto the middle. Everyone was buzzing with excitement. No one knew how heavy this bridge was looking. Someone neglected the water over the weekend, which then turned gray. Here is what happened. 8,400 grams. Here's it here. If you observe closely, it actually fell off the table. Many people thought that it shouldn't be dismissed from the competition because it never did break. And then that kind of got into quite a big argument between a whole bunch of people. Everyone's pointing and yelling at each other. And thankfully, after a little bit of a speech from our wonderful teacher, we managed to calm ourselves down. And here is the next bridge. It was made by Devin, Stephanie, and Nicole. It collapsed at 6,500 grams. Here is Francis's, Nathan's, and Amelia's bridge. This bridge was the one who actually wasn't 50 centimeters long. As you can see, they added on an extension to make it 50 centimeters. So we start putting the weights, but so many people were putting pressure on Grace that she was starting to feel it. As you can see, it started leaning over after we started putting on the weights, breaking under weight. And then it finally cracked and fell down to the dark ground. Actually, it fell only because someone decided to kick it, but the weight when it broke was 9,500 grams. And now for Evan's, Ewan's, and Maddie's bridge. A very impressive looking bridge, of course, until it fell over at 14,300 grams. So if you observe, it's the right spoke of the bridge which snaps and then ends up perfectly in the bucket, which was a very nice surprise, I thought. And now for Emily's, Alina's, Matt's, and Alex's bridge, which fell over at 1.7 kilograms. Here's the replay again. It leaned a little bit to the left and then ending up collapsing from the left spoke. And now for Minna's group's bridge, which actually maxed out the first time. But we added on a bigger bucket and even more weights. And then it ended up falling a little bit later during the competition. It ended up falling at 9,400 grams. And here is Nikki's, Miranda's, and Mandy's bridge, which was very impressive, very interesting style. It fell over after a little while it broke at 3.7 kilos. In summary of this competition, the bridge that sustained the most weight was Evan's bridge at 17.7 kilos. Congratulations to Evan and his group.